Was a diaspora conference meeting that was called by the Kenyan ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amaya. This meeting was last night, and the goal of the meeting was to prepare for an upcoming visit by President William Samoei Ruto, who's going to be attending a summit for African leaders. So the ambassador was just trying to get people together to try and see how we can communicate to the president our issues. You know, the meeting started very well with the ambassador, and I think the deputy ambassador was also there. But within a very short time, it became chaotic. It became a shouting match, and there was very little progress that was made in the overall goal of the meeting. I was in the meeting, and the people on the panel were in the meeting. Let me start with you, Omosh Fire. You know, like, what was it that, you know, like, maybe just try to recap, you know, like what was happening in the meeting and what led things to disintegrate to the level where it became a shouting match. Omosh Fire.
So like you said, the meeting was put together by, even though the ambassador put it together, it, to me, and he kept saying it, they were facilitators. So I think there was direction from Nairobi, because the president is coming, like you said, for the presidential summit, similar to what Obama did in, what was it, 14, I think it was? Unless my years are wrong, right? 2014, I think was the last African heads of state summit. And there's, I think, 42 or 49 presidents that have been invited to this meeting with Biden, which is occurring, I think, December 12th to 14th, I think it is. I could be wrong about the dates. But anyway, and in that, President Ruto, he wants to meet the diaspora when he's in DC. And the issue was to have an agenda to present to him so that there's one common talking point from folks in the diaspora, and diaspora related issues or questions would be forwarded to President Ruto, so that he can then now, you know, go back on file with his folks who are in the diaspora ministry and come up with solutions for us, probably taking into account that we do send a lot of money. And so he was basically bringing together whoever came on the call. There was about 200 and I think it was 220 people or something like that who were in the call at the high end. And what the goal of that meeting was to get names of either 20 to 30 people who would make a committee, a working committee that would then sit down, get all these points and all issues together, and then present them during that upcoming meeting. And they would have subsequent meetings at some point to, you know, get together and come up with an agenda that would then be, you know, given and or forwarded with questions pertaining to the diaspora, because something that's unique about us as a diaspora is we all have the same issues in the diaspora. It's not like our issues are at, oh, this guy's a farmer, this guy is, you know, an IT guy or whatever. No, as diaspora, our issues are the same. We are basically one tribe. You know, folks may not really want to agree to that, but our issues are the same. Kama ni mambo za passport, ni mambo za passport, sisi sote tunakula gunzo there. If it's mambo za consulate, it's the same thing. If it's problems of, you know, maybe visas, it's the same thing. Our issues are the same. You know, issues with, you know, folks, except now you move to the Middle East and so on, you know, you have the issues of abuses and things like that. But it got to a point where there was no way for folks to agree. So, you know, they were asked, okay, forward names, just, you know, type them in, do this. And, you know, and everybody who has been with some organizations or organizations that were part and parcel of when President Ruto was candidate Ruto, you know, and had met with folks, you know, came in and said, okay, you know what, since we're in DC, we're the ones who are going to take charge of this. Everybody else jump in and join us. And at that point, it just erupted. It went from south to southwest, And it got to a point where you could not talk. Folks were shouting. Guys were like, no, you're trying to rig this and that. Those accusations coming left and right. It got to a point where everybody was muted, except the ambassador and the guy who was facilitating. And people were asked to put names in the chat. And those names were being collected, collated. And probably those at the end of it all, those they were going to be able to contact, there was probably between 60 to 100 names that had been forwarded, and they're probably going to call a meeting that those folks would then now come into again and probably try to narrow it down. The challenge here is that they have to do all of this within a month. I think that's going to be tough. It's possible to do it, but they're going to have to realize that this is not about trying to look good. It's not about a party. It's not about a person. This is about the diaspora in general, and not diaspora US. It's diaspora everywhere, because this is a chance that folks have to address the president, who has the power and authority to make changes that would affect how folks vote, where people vote from, how things are done, all the issues that we end up having. Right now we're going through issues where at the end of this month, all passports are going to expire unless you have an e-passport. There's some people who don't know that, but it's true. If you don't have an e-passport, come the end of November, whatever your passport says, that the date on it, it's null and void. You can't travel with it. So guess what? You have to get a new passport. Try and get an appointment. That's also, 3-4 weeks, 5 weeks out. So if you're trying to go home in December, you are probably going to have to get a travel document and do a one-way, and then go uko nyumbani Nyayo house and talk to somebody who knows another person, and then you hunger that person because of this, and you say you don't want you to be corrupt, but guess what? It was a one-way when you were going. You need to come back for your job. So how about you are going to be the one who is, hungering. So yeah.